Many have had the unpleasant experience of being let go from a job, whether that be for layoffs or terminations. Some people take those next steps in life fairly well, choosing to spend their time looking for new employment or simply planning their next news. For some others, a firing can leave them seething, enraged at their prior employers and anyone else involved in their termination. Today we are going to be discussing incidents of ex-employees who did awful things after being handed their pink slips. From a man who almost ran his truck into City Hall to a rampage that ended in 8 lives lost and many injured, we are discussing 5 times firing someone went terribly wrong. But first, welcome to Creepycasettiyt, your place for horror in reality and beyond. I'm your host Dee, and if you want more videos just like this, along with more dark content, please hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell so you know anytime I drop another video. Number 5, Errol Gray. On July 10, 2019, 52-year-old Errol Gray was terminated from employment with the city of Indian Beach Rocks, Florida. Gray had worked for the city for 10 years, moving up through the ranks to become a supervisor for their solid waste department. A performance review completed the same year noted that he was a hard worker and made sound decisions. However, he also had multiple disciplinary notes on his records for accidents that occurred while using company vehicles. He and his director had been having a conversation about a previous act of insubordination Gray had engaged in the day before. When Gray responded to his director's discipline, it was with continued attitude, and eventually he stormed out of the office. At that point, Director Dean Sharman called the irritated Gray back and terminated his employment. Gray then began to attack the director by punching him in the head and torso, and then continuously kicking the man when he was on the ground. Another employee who witnessed the altercation tried to call the police. When Gray noticed the call being placed, he threw a chair at her, causing slight injury. Gray then attempted to flee and climbed into one of the city vehicles with the intention of driving it into the side of the city hall building. Instead, he got as far as running the car through a crowd of ladies who had been sitting outside during the altercation. He did not end up hitting the building as he was stopped before then. However, he was subsequently banned from all city property. Yeah, I bet. There's no coming back from that. Have you ever had a boss make you angry enough to beat the hell out of them? Comment down below. Number 4, Agrix Inc. shooting. This one actually happened fairly recently. On October 21st, 2021, Max Hoskinson of Superior, Nebraska had been fired from the Agrix elevator grain facility. At just a little before 2 p.m. on that day, he returned with a handgun and shot 3 employees. One woman, Sandra Nelson, 60, died at the scene. Another employee, Darren Kupke, died later that day in the hospital. A different employee working at the facility took out his own gun and shot Hoskinson, who also succumbed to his injuries later in the hospital. The rampage came as a shock for the little town where everyone knows each other. Hoskinson was an involved member of the community, and people in the town were in disbelief that the man would even do such a thing. Number 3, Arturo Torres. Arturo Torres of Orange County had worked for the California Department of Transit for 15 years. That was until he was fired for illicitly selling scrap aluminum right out of the company yard. Torres must still have been harboring some hard feelings 6 weeks after his firing, as he returned to his old employer armed with an assault rifle, shotgun, and handgun. On December 18, 1997, he committed one of the bloodiest shooting sprees in Orange County history. He first drove his car close to another man who had been sitting in the car outside of the facility and shot him. When the man crawled out of the car, Torres delivered a killing blow. He then drove his car into the company lot and started spraying nearby employees with bullets. The spree ended with the deaths of 4 people and severe injuries of 3 others, including a police officer. That same police officer incurred wounds after the assailant reloaded his weapon and tried to flee the scene. He attempted to make a U-turn and ended up crashing the car into another vehicle. He shot at the vehicle's occupant, and thankfully the driver was uninjured, left with only holes in his clothing from the nightmarish ordeal. Torres ended up being trapped between the 2 cars where police were able to put an end to the deadly assault and to Torres altogether. Number 2, Chuck E. Cheese murders. On December 19, 1993, 19-year-old ex-Chuck E. Cheese cook Nathan Dunlap returned to his old job. He ordered and ate a grilled cheese sandwich and then played a few of the arcade games. A short time before closing, he went into the bathroom and waited until about 10:05, just a few minutes after the arcade's closing, to step out of the bathroom and begin his killing spree. Shooting each victim in the head, he led the manager on duty that night to the company's safe at gunpoint and made her open it. He then shot her twice before taking off with the money. By the end of the bloody spree, he had murdered 4 people and severely injured the face of another man who played dead until Dunlap left the building. He then went to a nearby apartment complex for help, where the police were called. The lone survivor identified Dunlap as the perpetrator. Dunlap was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, burglary, and robbery, and later sentenced to death. He tried numerous times to appeal his case with the state, stating that he did not have effective legal counsel at the time of the trial. All appeals were denied. However, Governor John Hickenlooper granted him partial clemency, saving him from receiving his punishment while the governor remained in office. In 2020, Governor Jared Polis signed a bill repealing the death penalty in Colorado, and with that decision, Dunlap's sentence was commuted to life in prison. Number 1, Odessa-Midland shooting. August 31st, 2019, Lorena, Texas native Seth Aaron Adder was fired from his job at Journey Oilfield Services. That day at around 3 p.m., he would begin a rampage that would thoroughly impact the lives of Odessa and Midland citizens for years to come. It started with Adder being pulled over in his '99 Toyota Camry on Interstate 20 going into Odessa. Adder shot the state trooper and got away. He continued his spree, shooting another individual while driving down the interstate before entering Odessa. There, he killed a 29-year-old mail carrier and stole the Grand Caravan the postal worker had been driving. By the end of the ordeal, 7 people had been killed, 25 were injured, of which 18 had to be hospitalized, and the killer himself would be gunned down by police in the parking lot of a movie theater, adding to the total death count of 8. I've only been fired once in my whole life, and I can see how it can have a devastating impact on someone's life, but I can't say that I've ever been mad enough to do any of the things these people did. The last one I was even more confused by, because it wasn't like he sought revenge from his employer, he just shot at whoever for whatever reason, which is just confusing and terrible. And I hope all the people who are impacted by these events are healing from these tragedies. As always, I send peace, love, and positive vibes to those individuals, and also to you, dear viewer. I hope that all is well in your world. Drop me a hello back if you don't mind. I'd love to engage with you in the comments below. I promise I don't bite. Not unless I really, really like you. I will see you all in the next video. Take care, friends.